Shanghai was absolutely, they just went wild. Because he thought maybe the Chinese were like this, and maybe they know, you know, they didn't know about what she was supposed to. I think it was embarrassment too. They didn't know what to do after a concert. You know, it was sort of. But Shanghai, I mean, they didn't know. It was straight from the heart.
Suddenly they start to be very excited and all that. And as an audience, it's the most extroverted audience I ever experienced. I remember in Shanghai, Chinese people, I mean, throwing other people, throwing people in the air. I mean, throwing people like this. I mean, like you would throw balls or balloons. They were throwing other guys. I mean, like, it was really mad. I mean, it's like a kind of Rio or Brazilian type of event. I always felt that music and architecture are very close because of dealing both with time and space and environment. I really can't stand this kind of universal concept. In every single town, you have this same bloody architecture where people are totally depressed and in such a drab environment. Why is it always the same old story that urbanists and architects are suddenly deciding that people should live in these ugly, dreadful buildings? Could really be, I mean, a kind of real audiovisual concept, very simple. I mean, to integrate in an architectural concept at the beginning by, for instance, having the facades of the buildings changing depending on the seasons, on the time of the year, by projecting images of any kind of images. It could be images from nature, from day-to-day life. It could be funny. It could be like, yeah, like penguins walking, like cows smiling, or whatever. I mean, being surreal, being, I mean, trying to have a kind of more organic approach.
Suddenly we receive a phone call from somebody in Houston who was the musical director of the Opera House, you know. They have to celebrate it, you know, the 150th anniversary of the city.
But why doing a concert in the middle of Texas? I don't see the point, and I was involved in other things and musical point of view. And finally, because the guy insisted, I went there, and I just suddenly fell in love with this skyline, and it was a mad palette, a mad canvas. As I said, there is a real statement to make by mixing music with architecture in a very modern way and using state-of-the-art technology in a country bigger than real. I mean, the whole thing in Texas is almost too big, and the city, the skyline is absolutely amazing. The NASA Space Agency got involved because it was their 25th anniversary. We got the idea to create a link with space, with the astronauts. And my first contact has been Bruce McCandless, this brave man who has been the first to walk on space unattached. And he got the idea to involve one of his best friends called Ron McNair, one of the astronauts supposed to go in the next mission. Ron used to be a jazz player, sax player, and we decided that I could write a piece. I'm going to write a piece for him, a special piece for him, and he could play this piece in the weightlessness of space. I remember just before takeoff, Ron calling me in Paris saying, everything's ready, see you in a week time, watch me on television for the takeoff.
1 minute 15 seconds, velocity 2,900 feet per second, altitude 9 nautical miles, downrange distance 7 nautical miles.
And then Challenger exploded, and I was so depressed.
Alors, you know, we received phone call from Houston that they say, you know, it's terrible, you heard the news, it's terrible, maybe we have to cancel. And we say, yes, of course, we have to cancel, you know.
And the astronauts called me, and Bruce McCandless called me. He said, you can't stop now, because it has to become, this concert has to become a tribute for all the astronauts.
The concert went ahead, but they had a substitute saxophonist who played a very moving piece, a tribute, it's one of the most moving pieces of music I know, a tribute to the crew of the Challenger.
I will really keep always a bit of Ron's smile and Ron's face in my heart. My mom used to be in the resistance, and she did great things during the Second World War that she'll probably never explain really. But she's been caught 3 times by the Germans and in the jail in France before she went into a concentration camp.
Jean Michel, bien sûr, m'a souvent interrogé sur ces moments de la guerre, mais parce que je n'en parle jamais. Mais c'est comme un fil rouge qu'on tire, et quand on commence à vous en parler, tout vient. Alors je lui ai bien sûr raconté des choses. Et il s'est toujours beaucoup intéressé, c'est forcé. C'est comme un roman.
She met, amongst other people, one very interesting woman called Mimi Ricard.
Et elle a fait tout autre chose. Elle a eu, je sais pas, un héritage. Enfin, elle a pu acheter ou louer le Chat qui pêche, rue du Chat qui pêche. Et elle a monté une boîte de jazz qui est devenue la meilleure boîte de jazz de Paris.
The Fishing Cat. I used to go there with my mom very often during weekends, and I discovered jazz like that. And I remember that, Chet Baker sitting me on the upright piano and playing for my 10th birthday. Even when I talk about this today, I still can feel the hair of the instrument on my chest. It gave me this idea that music can be descriptive without lyrics.
Straight away when I first started working with him, he was called upon to do a concert for the Pope in Lyon, in his home city, in 1986.
The whole thing was a mixture of a kind of provincial mood with a kind of high-tech. Huge projections were happening on these old buildings, all the churches over there. The Pope was in this cathedral just on the top of the hill. He actually opened the concert by blessing the city.
Benedicat vos omnipotens Deus, Pater et Filius et Spiritus Sanctus.
And the concert started by actually involving the old architecture of the hill.
It was a very, very, very moving show, that. Because of the Pope, because it was an Indian summer, the weather was absolutely extraordinary. There was a very, very, very special feel about it.
Lyon was a bit magical in a way. I remember that there were candles on the windows, and the projections on the houses along the river was something we hadn't experienced before.
Thank you.